All right, we are back on the Connected Design podcast and diving into the world of outdoor screens today, and getting to do so with someone that's not a podcaster rookie, I should say. You've done a few of these, so
Yes.
appreciate you taking the time and jumping into it with us, Mr. Kim Parker. The business development, and a partner at Keder Screens.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
appreciate you taking the time to join us and dive into this. Pretty cool. The level of innovation. Yeah, outdoor screens. You think about my patio. I got a patio. I got some outdoor screens on it. Not motorized. Nothing as fancy as what Keder's doing, and some what we see in this space it shows. But the level of innovation. You guys are kind of showing that there is lots to do here in this
Yes.
space.
Yeah, and I think there's still more to go as well as we look at, the future of what outdoor living looks like and the
Yeah.
solutions that people are needing. And, we're seeing homes that are being built with bigger patios, and now we need bigger shades and bigger screens, and the entertainment level that's going on in the outside spaces is just elevated so much since COVID, really.
Yeah. Well, before I know so many ways we can go with it, and I look forward to doing that. But before we do all that, I want to give you a chance, for those that don't know you, to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of your path throughout your career, and
Yeah.
what led you to Keter.
Well, I've been in the industry for well over 30 years. I stopped counting at about 30. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I was going to be heavily involved in the shade business, I probably would have said no. I was heavily involved in the control space.
Yep.
Spent 13 plus years at Control 4, Snap One, and it truly enjoyed that, as well as was a dealer for many years as well. So I've done it all. I've answered phones as a secretary all the way up to being a CEO in this industry, and it was time for me to become a partner owner in a company. And as I was looking through what was next for me, what made sense was this industry that's just exploding, this outdoor venue, outdoor environments that's just exploding. And so when I ran into Keder Screens a few years ago, that technology just really appealed to me, because I'm like, yeah, I could use it on my own home. And that's kind of where I went from there.
Hey, well, the cool thing, you two talking about your background is that I know I might be stealing a line from Katie here, but Katie Bennett, for those, everyone knows Katie. I don't even have to make an introduction or explanation there, but you've seen a thing or two, which is kind of cool about like your background. So knowing all that, know you've been on the dealer side, been manufacturer side, the now partner side. You kind of can lean on that experience, and you talk about the kind of career history you've had. Um, Informed, I guess, really, kind of hearing you talk about it too, right? Informed that decision of what you wanted to do next, and
Yeah.
you kind of have been following the trends of the space and what's going on. So in your head, this outdoor category is just, it feels like the next thing.
It does for me, for sure. And I think for a lot of dealers, as we look at the landscape of the CI industry, it looks like it's the next thing as well for the CI industry.
No, that's awesome. So, what specifically? I know you talked about it a little bit, but Keter, in having conversations with them, what was it that attracted you to them, and made the decision, or made the decision easier for
Yeah.
you to call it home?
Yeah, young company, right? And similar to some of my background story that I related to was, there needs to be solutions in our industry. And the founder of our company, Justin Collins, was running into challenges and issues in the field because he came from the traditional, awning and outdoor shade world. And it was like, hey, man, I'm running into so many issues. And as I scale my business, I've got these products that are heavily, they need service, and that weighs heavily on my business in order to be profitable or not. So he said, there's got to be a better way. And so that's when he invented this product called the V-Track retention system, or the V-Screen retention system. And it is basically an outdoor shade that's super robust and needs very little maintenance, if any. Once they go in, and you're good. That you might have to blow out a track here and there, maybe put a little bit of grease on the sliding mechanisms, but otherwise, he really created a product that's super robust. It's high wind tolerant. It keeps the bugs out, keeps the dust off, keeps your patio furniture on your patio when there's a wind event. And the biggest difference between us and everyone else is that when a wind event happens, our screens are meant to be down versus up. And as an installer, you don't want to have to worry about your customer doing the right thing to make sure they're rolled up in a wind event so that you then have to go out and service that product because the weight bar came out of the track or the fabric came out of the track or a zipper tore or all of the other issues that you might deal with in those other products.
Right. Well, and I'm thinking too. I feel like I saw on your web. Did I see someone like jump into a screen in a video on the website? Am I making that
Yes.
up, or did I see that?
Yeah, no, we pound on our shades really hard,
Yeah.
especially when we bring dealers into training. We let them run into it. We let them to, really see how strong and robust these things are. And it gives them a sense of confidence once they actually, touch, feel, and actually manipulate the screen that it's just these things are practically indestructible.
Touch, feel, try to, the Kool-Aid man, the screen, whatever they have to do, right?
Yes. Yep.
No, that's awesome. I know too. When we talked previously, not only like you, those are kind of the things you're saying are, for lack of a better, the things you hear in this space, right? Like
Yeah.
they're high win rate and this and that. You actually shared some, and I feel like I'm putting you on the spot, so apologies if I am,
No
and you
worries.
don't have them memorized by heart. But you had some solid data around actually how, you talk about like resilient your screens are.
Yes.
So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
dealers
So
hear it, but to hear those numbers would be awesome.
yeah, yeah, I'll just show a little bit of the fabric here and kind of what makes it unique and strong, and then give some statistics on it. But there's this, our fabric has some unique characteristics to it and how we weld the keter and how we sew the corners and how we attach the corners to the weight bar. And this is just the fabric itself. Um, but this right here, a lot of people don't know what this is, but that's called keter, right? That little spline. And a lot of
Mhm.
other companies use a zipper product. Keder Screens decided to, hence the name Keder, decided to go with a Keder because it's the most robust, it's the toughest. And when you think about the pull strength that's necessary between, what's welded right here versus the Keder that sits in the track versus the fabric that it adheres to, and the mechanisms and machines that we use to make this weld, that gives you on a standard fabric about 400 pounds of tensile strength per inch. And so it's
Wow.
super strong.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to
Yeah.
get this to tear, to pull apart, it takes a serious amount of force to do so. So that's one of the first things that you really need to make sure that you focus on in terms of a robust product. The other part is when you have a weight bar that attaches or doesn't attach to a side channel, and that wind can blow that side channel or that weight bar out of that side channel, it starts to do what they call hammering. And as it hammers, what it's going to do is it's going to put pressure on that zipper and start to pull it out of the track. And it's just going to, become a bigger and bigger problem as it's not paid attention to, especially if the screen is down. So those two main issues have been solved by Keder Screens, and those are the things that make it simple, just to operate, just to maintain all those other issues that you've had in the past. If you've done it in the past as a dealer and are like, I'm never doing outdoor shades again because what a pain, those things have been solved. Now, going back to some of the statistics as well, only about 10% of dealers in the CI space actually do outdoor shades. And there's a massive opportunity here for dealers because what's happening is there's a third party company that's doing an installation of a shade. And whether that product is amazing or not, or inferior or not, if it has an issue, because the dealer integrated it to the home, they're the ones getting the phone call because when the button's pushed, it doesn't work, or the button's pushed and it's doing, crazy things. The dealer's getting the call for that. And so a lot of dealers that I've spoken to over the last few months since I've been working at Keder Screens, they're like, yeah, we might as well get into it, just because we take ownership anyways. And as I explain it to dealers is if you can install the complexity of a home theater or a multi-room audio system or anything that has to do with the complexities of programming and you're mechanically inclined at all, this product is right within your wheelhouse. You already have the tools, you already have the capacity with your people, and it just it's allowing you to own more of that project.
Yeah. Would with such a low sort of, I guess adoption might be the right term there, rate of doing these types of products or installations in a home. Why do you think that is? Is it challenges they've run into, or what would have been the hurdles for integrators in terms of
Yeah,
getting into this
I,
space?
I really think it boils down to training, and experience. And they've been once bitten, twice shy, as the song says, I think. And once you have a bad experience, and these things are expensive, right? They're not, they, kind of start at $3,000 and they go up to 10,000 and maybe even higher, depending on the size. But if you went and had a bad experience and you lost $10,000, you're not going to touch that category again because it was painful, and you're going to stick with what you know you're good at, right? But you're eventually going to come across a project where the builder is going to be like, hey, I need help, and blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to be like, oh man, do I know of a product then? Do I know of a company, more importantly, that also supports me and stands behind me? And that's what Keder Screen is. Not only do we have an amazing product, but our warranty, our service levels, making sure that you can get everything that you need from us in order to back you up to make sure that you have a project that goes flawlessly is really necessary. And I'll just share a little story
Yeah.
here. So we have a dealer up in Tennessee, not in the CI channel, but they have multiple installers across Tennessee and Alabama. And they're probably one of our number one dealers. They do a lot of shades with us. And there was one installer who was having some challenges with our product. And we were just kind of like, wow, we don't understand why he's having these challenges. And so we had to really dive in and determine what steps he wasn't following accurately and properly. And so the owner of our company actually drove out to their project, and he actually took about 15 shades with him because that's their order size that they had. So they drove a trailer out, they delivered all these shades, and he spent 3 days with him and two other team members and the owner of the company to go through these 15 shade installs to make sure they understood the exact process to do this every time. And we actually learned something as well. Um, First thing that we learned was, hey, if dealers aren't trained properly, they're going to have a bad experience. If dealers are trained properly, they're going to have a great experience and they're going to love it, and the projects are going to be profitable. And then you're also going to run into these guys that are highly technical, that they invent things in the field that you just never even thought of yourself. And so we had an installation that this guy, this one installer who's really experienced, really wowed us with his level of fit and finish. It was just really impressive what he did with our shades. So both sides win when you really
Yeah.
engage with the dealer.
So as far as that training is concerned, to me, thinking about putting, not that I've ever worn one, but putting a dealer hat on real quick, the thing I think of is, oh man, another level of training for a new product category that I'm not sure I even want to get into. What is the level of effort?
Yeah,
I ask that. It's kind of like rhetorical, right? Like the more you put in, the more you're going to get out is
sure.
the answer,
Yeah,
right? But
but
at the same time, what's it take for a dealer to really get sort of
yeah, what's the
knowledgeable around
expectation?
this?
Yeah, what should I
Yeah,
expect as a dealer in order to get proficient at doing this type of project? So, first thing is learn the product well enough to know how to measure and do quotes, and that's stage one, right? Once you get a project, make sure you get your guys into training so that they understand the nuances of how to install in the process, the step-by-step process, because we have a very there's a couple ways to do it, but for most shades that we have installed, there's a very, very deliberate step-by-step process in order to get the best fit, the best finish on these, so they don't have to go back and fix mistakes. So we teach you the pitfalls, we teach you the things that are best practices, and those things are invaluable. And you want to do that training fairly close to your install date so that you have retention and memory of what it is that you're doing. And then I say the expectation is look, on your first job, you might break even because it's going to take you a little bit of time to learn it, a little bit of time, in field, hands-on experience. But we can help you overcome some of those things. And as soon as you have an issue, jump on the phone with us. Let us do a FaceTime with you. Let us, I can troubleshoot a shade within 30 seconds. If you tell me the behavior, I can tell you exactly what's going on with it just because I've become, I should say, an expert and very familiar with this product. And I think that's the value that we provide as well, is that everybody in our company
yeah,
understands our product top to bottom, and we can
yeah.
help a dealer be super successful.
That's
So
awesome. Now, with those pitfalls you mentioned, is it similar to what you might see indoor versus outdoor as far as like having to be, exceptionally precise with measurements and things like that? Are
yes,
those the types of things that you would typically find?
yes, the toughest part is making sure everything's measured correctly. If it's not measured correctly and you get product
Yeah,
on a site, you're going to have troubles. And then the other thing is that you want to measure again when you're out in the field before you start putting things up, open things up, measure it, make sure things are going to fit. And that way you're not, wasting time figuring out how to make things fit if you make a mistake on measuring. But measure twice, cut once kind of is the old adage. And so that's really important. But the next part is like indoor shade, you have kind of that one horizontal that you're dealing with to make sure things are level so things don't, roll up unevenly, or what they call telescoping in the industry. Ours, you have really four sides that you need to make sure that things are done right. So you've got the top, you've got the bottom because we have slopes that we deal with on patios, and then you've got the sides. And everybody, I think I've gone maybe to one job where everything was perfectly plumb, and it was because it was an outdoor pergola and it was installed perfectly. And I was like, wow, that's going to make my job so much easier and the dealer's job so much easier to measure and install. So that was great. But every other project I've been on to measure, nothing's ever plumb, especially when you're thinking about inside mount or even recessed mount. You have to make sure that everything fits within the dimensions that you have. And if that box, if anything you've done is bigger than that box, that's the minimum dimensions of that opening, you're gonna have a challenge. So that's the biggest pitfall.
Yeah, and I have to think too. I mean, if you're talking about wanting things to be, especially in case of a wind event, like having things fit perfectly and not wanting any gaps with air
Hmm.
hit sliding through or things like that. If a does it make it is it a challenge you can overcome if a window isn't perfectly square that you can install something that still works?
Yeah, there are some tolerances that you can do some cut downs in the field to make things work. But they're not a lot. It's not like you have 6 inches of mistake factor.
Right.
You have maybe a half inch of mistake factor. So, and that's typically what we've seen. Maybe someone transposed a number or something, or while they were making a recording of the measurements, just made a mistake in writing it down. And so,
Right.
but we're also there to stand behind you to make sure that that process of fixing the issue goes as quick and as fast as possible so that we can rush out whatever part that you need. Hopefully it's something simple like I mismeasured and I need a weight bar, for example, or I cut a track too short and I need to get a new track. So things like that, we can take care of. But quite honestly, the most common issue that we have is the moving parts like the motor failure, lightning strikes and surges, things like that can take out a motor. Motors do have a pretty strong warranty as well. So 5 year for Somfy, 7 year for Alpha, 10 year for our Keder motor that we're just releasing here. Oh yeah, we're just releasing a new Keder motor with a 10 year warranty.
Breaking
So
news.
breaking news.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of Keder Screens. We're trying to make the best warranty in the industry as well, so that dealers can stand behind the product and know that it's going to, operate and function for many years to come.
That's awesome. Now, with such a strong screen, my head goes to like obviously this is something that would make sense in say, the East Coast from Carolinas, Florida, where you see a lot of high wind events, things like that. Is it, is it something that does you could install nationwide? Like obviously you want to install it nationwide, but
That's a
is
great
there like
question.
does it have to? Is it too strong for in some? Is it type of question, right?
Yeah,
Like, does it make sense all over?
it does make sense all over. There are certain requirements for certain counties in Florida, like the Miami-Dade County, that require a hurricane certification. And there's a number of, applications to determine whether you need to have that certification or not. But 98% or 99% of the country doesn't need a certification for high wind. We've done our own high wind testing. There, you can see that on our Facebook and on our Instagram pages of us, testing it at over 100 miles per hour, and the screen just says whatever. It doesn't even bother it. It's like, so there's no issues there. But the stronger test really is the missile test of, you launching something into the shade and making sure that it stays intact. And
Right.
so there's installation methods to make sure that, if you're in somewhere where you don't have, even 50-mile-an-hour winds, maybe you don't have to use as many screws to hold in the tracks or the head box. Um, but if you're in a high wind application on the coast, let's say you're down here in Texas, in Houston or Corpus Christi or, down south, then you want to put screws every 12 inches, for example, versus every 24 kind of thing, just to give it that strength. So,
Gotcha.
but then we also have a fabric. It's called It's from Twitchell. It's called Omega Tex, or they have another new product called Storm Shield, and it actually has Kevlar woven through.
Wow.
And instead of using a 10 millimeter keter, we use a 20 millimeter keter, so it welds even further into the fabric, which gives it even more strength, which is about 700 pounds of tensile strength before it tears or rips. So
Wow.
it's impressive. I mean, we've stabbed it with knives and stuff, and you can barely even cut it with a knife. I mean, it's really impressive. Not only is it a high wind hurricane missile protection, but it's also some security as well.
Be fun to take like Aaron Judge and just have him hit a home run right into Shohei or whatever, and like do what do they do right off the mat? They do
Yeah.
the exit velocity right off the
Yep.
bat. See if they could do that right into the
Hey,
screen.
hey, if you know those
you
people
know,
and they want to
right?
they want
Let's
to
make that
market for
happen.
us, let's make it happen. We're
Let's go.
happy to
That
prove
sounds
it.
awesome, right?
We will not have
no.
a Tesla moment where the window
Yeah.
breaks. We will not
Yeah,
have
right.
that moment.
That's incredible. Oh man, that's awesome. So I have to ask, is there anything you're only what couple months into the category, right? Is that right with your time at Keter,
So
or is it a little
I've
bit
been with the
longer?
company 3 months.
Yeah.
I invested in the company about a year ago, and that was to help a partnership get off the ground as
Yep.
we were licensing technology to a partner in the CI industry. That partnership didn't work out, and so we decided to bring that product direct to market ourselves. And the company's been in existence for 4+ years now,
Yep.
but the invention and the mind around that invention has been around for about 8 years. So,
Yeah.
and Justin goes back all the way to 2001, installing and creating outdoor, environments with
Yeah.
awnings and outdoor shades. And so, even though the company's young, the experience that we have in the company
There's
isn't
lots
young.
of it. Yeah. Well, for you being like newer to this channel or this category, is there anything surprising about it that you've learned or seen in your short time, in it so far?
Um, I think what surprises me most is, well, first, the robustness of the product is really what surprised me. I was like, wow, this is really, really incredible. And I couldn't think of doing anything else on my own home other than this. Like, I had a chance to put in zipper screens, before, and I just thought, you know what, with all the issues that I see with the zipper category itself, it just is, I'm not going to do it. I don't want the service nightmare, and I travel quite a bit for work, and I don't need a phone call from my wife saying, "Hey, so the patio shades won't go down," because we keep them down, and part of the reason we keep them down is because we have some dogs and some animals, and they like to go and hang out on the patio, and so if we have them down, they stay on the patio and they enjoy the
Yeah.
outdoor breeze just as much as we do when we're out there. So, but that's one surprise. But I think on the opposite side of that is the fear that the dealer base has of getting into this, and fear is simply overcome by exposure. And I think that the more that you're exposing yourself to this product, and if you can talk to dealers who are experienced, the dealers who are being successful with the outdoor shades and integration of these outdoor shades, and ask them, is it worth it? They're all going to say absolutely it's worth it. There's some learning curve to overcome, but I can teach a dealer to install these things and do it really well and confidently in about 6 hours. So, and teach them all the tips and tricks and all the nuances to this product category.
That's awesome to hear. And I think too, kind of going full circle here back to the beginning of the conversation, having someone in the category now that
Yeah.
has the experience across the rest of the channel that you do, I think that even that, I don't know if you want to pat yourself on the back so much, but I'll do it for you, right? Like that is comforting. I have to imagine for a lot of the dealers to see someone that
Yeah.
they know and trust from other parts of the industry to now
Yeah.
be supporting this category, and
Well,
uh, you know,
that's a great point, Rob. I think that, I've been in the dealer facing part of our business for quite some time on the manufacturing side, but helping dealers be successful with very complicated product categories like control. And I think when I make that phone call to dealers and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing now," it's about a 12-second conversation to say, "Great, I'm on board," because they trust me, right?
yeah,
And they know my background. They know that I'm going to stand behind them. They know that I'm going to make sure that they're successful at it because we have been in the trenches together and we've done things that we've had to overcome major, major challenges. If you can think back 10, 15 years ago, networking was the biggest hurdle
right,
to success in our industry. and there weren't a lot of great products out there actually that were supporting the dealers. Now we have fantastic products. We have fantastic models to service remotely and all these wonderful things that have happened over the last 10 years. But in this shade category right now, since it's kind of this new thing into the CI space, we're in that kind of that same phase of dealers need help and they need experts to stand behind them and help them. And our biggest challenge right now as a company is, can we handle the scale of business that's available to us? And so we're growing, we're growing really nicely right now, and we're getting a lot of interest. And we've put on 3 rep firms in key markets, but I didn't put on the whole entire country, and that was on purpose so that we could grow with the size of business. So we hired the best rep firm in our backyard, Bell and McCoy, here in the Tola market. We hired in the Florida market, which is a huge market for us, AMI Sales, and we hired Momentum Group up in the Rocky Mountains, and those are 3 really big markets for us. And and actually when I looked at the kind of where shades are going in, outdoor shades are going in, these markets are the strongest markets for outdoor shades. You would think Southern California, but no, nope,
No,
no,
not yet.
not yet.
People like their open air. They
It's
don't want the screens down. Is that the blocking the view?
the
Is
nice
that,
weather
you know?
out there. They're
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Wah, wah, wah," and there's very rarely, maybe 1 month out of the year, you get some Santa Ana winds, but otherwise you just get beautiful weather. So that makes sense, right?
Interesting.
And they
Yeah.
don't have as many bugs either. So actually one of the
Sure.
primary reasons
Sure.
that people put in these screens is for bug protection. Texas, man,
Interesting.
number one bug.
Forget
You,
it.
you know what's
Listen.
this is what's interesting. If you look up the number of companies that spray for bugs in your backyard, then you're definitely in the right market for bug
All
screens.
right. Okay.
So
I love that. That's a unique perspective. And I got to imagine, anyone that's been to the Jersey Shore, there's you get those green heads down the shore. That's got to be a pretty up there as far as
yes,
where that ranks. So,
yeah, yeah.
so,
And anywhere that there's 4 seasons, really, you're gonna
yeah.
have those
Yeah.
those kind of bugs. So
No, that's awesome. Well, this was cool. I appreciate you taking the time and diving into the category and again, your background and the company background. A lot of cool things to follow and see that you guys are doing. And like we said at the top too, a category that when you think about it, innovation may not be top of mind, but like having come out of this, people that have listened, hope they can understand and
yeah,
recognize that that is the case. There is a lot to be done here,
right.
and so much more still to come.
Yeah, one last thing that I'll give you as
Yeah.
a preview of a product launch that's coming is we have invented a way to overcome what has been plaguing the industry for decades, which is tube deflection. And this tube deflection issue means you can't go very wide with shades. And so we have a patent pending on a technology that we call RAD, which is roller tube anti-deflection technology. And it uses magnets to levitate that tube so that it takes all the deflection out of it. And so we can literally, I mean, go infinitely wide if we have a motor that will turn it. But
Wow.
today we have a 54-foot wide by 10-foot shade at our facility. That was our second largest, it was the second shade that we made, and it was that big. And so we know we can go
Wow.
wider, but we're changing the game. We're going to completely change the
Interesting.
game. And one other last thing is that one of the challenges that dealers have is when they go to order that product. Sometimes the dealer portals aren't very clear on how to order that product, and that's where mistakes are made as well. And our dealer portal it's the best in the game. And so, you got to sign up to be a dealer to see that dealer portal, but or you got to contact me and I'll walk you
Yeah,
through
right.
it. But man, we really are going to be the number one shade manufacturer, screen manufacturer for outdoor shades, and especially for the CI channel because that's where we're focusing a lot of attention.
Love it, love it. It's a great story to hear, and I'm looking forward to continuing to follow it. So, Kim, this was awesome. I appreciate it. Like I said,
Yeah,
great conversation, and certainly not our last either. I
yeah.
look forward to following up with you and
Well,
having more of these. So,
I hope I got you excited about outdoor shades because I wouldn't have been 5 years ago, and now I'm super excited about it. So,
that's awesome. We appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again soon.
yep. All right, man. Thanks. Take care.